Hi, Dara. I see
Hi,
that you've
Pam.
got Bacchus with you today. Can you tell
Yeah,
us a bit about Bacchus?
sure. So Bacchus is at least 35 years old, a redwood Amazon, and came to Mickaboo after being with the same loving person for all of her life. And of course, these Amazons can live a really long time. And so, unfortunately, Bacchus's human passed away, but fortunately, Bacchus has come to Mickaboo now.
And you said that they can live a really long time. Can you quantify that for us?
Yeah, well, the numbers that I've heard are about 60 to 80 years. I think it depends on a lot of different factors. I also think, you know, Bacchus is on a great diet now and doesn't really show any signs of being sort of middle to older age.
So it's like a human when we say a life expectancy for a human is 80-ish. I mean, we all know people who unfortunately have passed before that time and some people who've lived, well after. So it's an average depending on lots of factors there. So or is it she or he?
We don't know for sure. When people pass away, we don't always have all of that information, but they did always call Bacchus a she. So it's really, we could do some genetic testing, but I'm just calling a she.
Okay, fair enough. So we're approximately midlife-ish with lots of runway there. How are
Yeah.
they with humans, both the smaller kind, i.e. kids, as well as,
Okay.
adults like you? Ah,
Yeah, so Bacchus is just, as with any bird, really kind of takes some time to get to know a person, but she settled in really well. So I think she's been very well socialized, probably with other people. So there were some other people in the family as well. And, she's seems pretty patient. Even, she had a little vet checkup because her feathers were a little bit dull colored. And even at the vet, he's like, okay, am I supposed to step up now? And okay, you have me in a towel. So it was overall pretty, I think, trusting and gentle. So she's been doing really well. She's also in the family room. So my 10-year-old had like a play date the other day, and there were kind of kids running around and doing things. And she's like, okay, this is kind of part of it. So she seems pretty well socialized and relaxed and really likes a lot of attention, but not overly demanding
mm.
either. So
The 10-year-olds, though, they were playing around her as opposed to poking, shall we say, at her.
yeah. So 10 is a nice age where, and I think at any age, kids can really learn, okay, well, we have boundaries. We don't put our fingers in the cage. We don't, throw things at the cage. We're sort of mindful of the bird. And so my 10-year-old actually has always grown up around parrots. And so I say, well, if you train the kid, and then always supervision.
Hmm. Okay. And I see you're doing a nice preening job for Bacchus there. Can you tell us a little bit about, I hear that there's areas of the bird that one can touch and areas that one should not.
Yeah, so Bacchus also just recently went through like a major molt. And so, so she's pretty good at cleaning her body feathers and, definitely touching parts of the back and the body can lead to some hormonal behaviors. The head, I think, also is a place where one, I still need to be wary of her like how she's behaving to being touched, but it's also she's got a real itchy head right now too that she can't reach, and so I think she really appreciates the attention.
Lovely. Do we think Bacchus may be harness trainable?
Oh, I think she's extremely patient, so yes. I also, for me, I tend to prefer them to be inside a carrier whenever I take them outside, just because even if a harness or with a bird that's trained, I just get a little worried, like a car comes or maybe a dog jumps up or something like that. So think it's possible because she is very patient. It's not something that I've tried yet.
Fair enough. And we have been vocalizing a little bit during this segment. Do we talk just one language, i.e. bird, or do we also have some other sounds that we make?
Yes, there are other sounds. I would say, so she definitely wolf whistles a lot, and there she's calling out a little bit more. I don't know if Vim is filtering that. In terms of Amazons, I wouldn't say that she's a stellar speaker in terms of human words, but she definitely makes a lot of different noises. And the way I put it, first, like first thing in the morning, she kind of gets up in the morning and yells at the world and then kind of settles in for the rest of the day. But she's saying things, but it's, not sort of the human word that we think of. But she certainly can whistle and chirp and so it's like sort of purrs a little bit.
Okay, and she's obviously on a stand right now. Is that her housing or are we in a cage? And how big is that cage?
Yeah, no, this is just a play stand. So she also has a cage, actually on the other side of the room. And oftentimes I put the play stand right beside the cage or comes over onto the couch with me. The current cage is 3 feet wide by 2 feet deep, with a play stand on top. That would be the minimum size. I think that she would be just, if not more happier in a larger size cage as well. But she spends a lot of time out and around. And what's nice about Baccus is when she's out, and I have other birds, and I also have a little dog. Um, when she's out on the cage, she hangs out on the cage and on the play stand and hasn't tried to crawl down onto the ground yet. Um, but she also likes to kind of come down and explore. So I'll take the play stand and also put it by my desk while I'm working. And then, she knows, okay, I can crawl down and she'll crawl all around on my desk. Um, but she does steal pens and chew on
Uh-oh.
keyboards. So then I just move if she keeps going after the pens, I'll put like little crumples of paper or other little toys. And she's like, no, I want your pen and your keyboard. But if then she's kind of getting a little like, okay, no, Baccus, I need to do some work. I move the play stand just like 2 feet away from the desk and she just hangs out on the play stand. So, pretty good at stationing, so to speak, as we would talk about that.
So aside from being your office assistant when you're working from home, what does she typically do during her day?
Well, she definitely likes to play with toys. She's a good napper. Likes to explore. I also have her cage by a window, so she can kind of look out. Um, she seems pretty low maintenance. She's happy to she'll sit on my shoulder. I usually don't put larger birds on my shoulder. She's one of the few larger birds where I'm like, okay, I guess so. But for the most part, I've been training her to kind of just, hang out on my forearm instead, just for good future behaviors, just to, have that expectation set.
Mhm.
And yeah, she likes a lot of fruits and vegetables, so she'll kind of play around with those, particularly squash, which is really nice and healthy for her. So I'm very happy about that.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think when she starts on a toy, she works on the same toy and finishes it. Um, and then when that one is shredded and done, she'll then kind of go over to the other toy and get started on that one. So kind of a natural rotation.
Very sequential that way. You touched a little bit on her diet. Can you expand on that a bit?
Yeah, so when Bacchus came in, one of the reasons we took her for a health check is her feathers were all gray. And basically, she got a clean bill of health, and the blood work looked great, exam looked great, and then the feather quality was really thought to be attributed to some nutrient deficiencies. And so, but what I found is that she actually took to eating Harrison's pellets as about at least half of her diet right now, as well as lots of veggies as well. A lot of birds are more like into the fruit, but she's really sort of enjoyed this. And so now her feather colors, she's going through a pretty hard molt, and they're all coming in nice and green. And she's getting the red kind of coming out on her face as well. Um, so I think that she's on a really great diet. Yes, she still gets some sunflower seeds and little bits of almonds as treats. Her weight is okay. Yeah, you see that? You want that? No? He's like, no, I'm a vegetable eater. There you go. That's like a little teeny tiny bit of almonds. You know, you have to have some treats in your life.
Yes, one does indeed. What other advice would you have for someone who is considering adding Bacchus to their household?
Yeah. I think it's, and I think Jamie was talking about this a little bit too with the macaws. Bacchus is actually, I think she would be okay for people who are less familiar with large birds, because she is so trusting and gentle. Not to say that that will always be the case, but I do think that she's maybe a little bit, on the smaller side of the Amazon, but a little bit less intimidating. There you go. You say hi than some of the other larger birds.
Hi, Bacchus. Hey, well, wonderful to have seen Bacchus and hearing about Bacchus's behaviors and living situation, care standards. Thank you so much for spending the time with us, both of you, Dara and Bacchus. And we'll hope that somebody sees this video and says, yes, we want Bacchus in our lives.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Pam.
Take care.